Welcome back, guys. Ball of Duty, new episode. Today we've got a very special guest, coached many players across the world. Some players you may know. We've got Saul Isaksson-Hurst.
Thank you very much. Coming. Well done as well for getting my name right. It's top. Well done.
Thank you for not that down. Hard, to be honest. But
surprised.
Yeah, thank you for coming down. How was your journey?
Not too bad. Good to be back in West London.
Yeah. So Yasin, how you been?
I've been good, man. I've been good. Had a couple of weeks off, work trip. I was actually in Norway doing some football stuff for work.
Yeah. Talking about the work trip, I know you was working with the Homeless World Cup.
Yeah. So I work for a charity called Street Soccer. And at Street Soccer we managed Team England for the Homeless World Cup.
Wow.
And the Homeless World Cup this year was in Oslo, so I was out in Oslo for 9 days. And yeah, it was amazing. The team finished 8th, so we were a little bit disappointed because the year before in South Korea we finished 2nd. But you know, the journey and the experience and everything was amazing. It was incredible. It's quite a unfamiliar format of football. It's 4-side football. It's kind of like street football, and they do 3v2 defending. So one attacker has to stay in the other half the whole game. So it's quick pace games, 14-minute games, 7-minute halves, and just essentially street football. But countries from all over the world enter teams, and like I said, we manage Team England. And the players that play are players who've suffered from homelessness, different kinds of social exclusion, people left prison, people in recovery, etc. So yeah, man, I was there for 9 days. It was hard work, it was tiring. I don't coach the team, I more do player welfare, so more the off the pitch stuff. But yeah, it was sick, man. It was an amazing experience. It's such a meaningful kind of event and competition. So obviously we want to win, but it's not all about winning. Some of the players we took, it's the first time they ever got on a plane, stuff like that. So yeah, man, it was sick.
I've seen that there was a player that signed for QPR.
Yeah, Richard Kone. He
scored the other day. He was a few years ago. He was in
he played for Ivory Coast.
The guy that just scored last weekend.
Yeah, because I know he came through non-league as well, didn't he?
So he first got spotted playing for Ivory Coast in the Homeless World Cup in 2019.
Wow, that's tough.
Yeah.
It's a good backstory to have.
Yeah, we got one of our boys who's a baller. He played this year, and there's a few people asking about him and stuff. So you never know, innit? Maybe he could be the next one.
They've got a good talent pool there.
Yeah, definitely.
Fair enough. But International Week this week. I think Noni got picked. Obviously, Saul coaches Noni as well, 1-to-1. How you think? Do you believe he's deserved the score up? He's worked his way.
I think Noni was the best player on the pitch. Yeah. On the other day, I think it was the best Arsenal player against Liverpool. I think he's had a really good start to the season.
Yeah.
Of course, he's when we spoke last season about his targets and it was getting in the squad for the World Cup. Now it's got to be first the starting lineup because he started so strong. So I think he's done really well and he's doing well.
Do you feel like the Arsenal move is the right move for him? Do you feel like the way I see Noni is a cultured right winger in this day and age? When I watched him at Chelsea, his game was very much cutting off the right hand side, trying to make things happen. I didn't see too much of him on the left, but obviously moving to Arsenal, Saka's there, and the chances of starting ahead of Saka are not really too high. Do you know what I mean? So do you feel like it was the right move for him? Do you feel like he could flourish on the left, or?
I think first we've got to think about the club. So great, obviously Chelsea, big club, going to another big club, good opportunity. Arsenal challenging for every, the league, the Champions League.
Yeah.
I think, look, you see he's playing now on the right, isn't he? So that's the thing. I think I had a conversation with him as well, in the off season we chatted about, England, Saka's still probably number one for England and they're looking for a left winger. So, you take to any player, what's going to get you that job, and if the job's, going to be on the plane, you most likely look at it now, it might be right or it might be left wing. So like any player, you need to have the adaptability. It's employability anyway. Being able to play both sides is going to get you the job in it, and there's jobs to play in the first team, isn't he? So in answer to your question, I think it's a great move. You've got to have the flexibility to play on both sides. He's a good quality attacking player. I don't see there's any problem with him playing on the left or the right, and and added value there.
Yeah. Interesting. Because when I saw the move, I was kind of surprised. Initially, I just thought, Saka's there. Why is he going there? competing with Saka for minutes. And Saka's one player Arsenal do not rotate. Do you know what I mean? And like I said, I hadn't seen too much of him on the left-hand side. So when I saw the move, I was kind of like, is it going to work out for him? But yeah, ultimately...
Well, if you look at it as well, then it's, you know, that's probably one of the problems. They didn't rotate Saka.
Yeah.
Or they didn't have anyone who could go in and do a good quality job there in comparison. So maybe the loading on them much. So having someone who can go and play on the Saka on the left, right sometimes, can add value on the left as well.
Yeah.
You know, that's sort of, you know, and if you look at the other signings they've made, they're bringing in quality all over the pitch, aren't they? So like, you know, the other 100%. Day, Odegaard goes off, Eze can come on, or, you know, Saliba goes off, you know, the Spanish boy comes on. So, you know, need that. You know, need maybe more strength and depth throughout the squad.
100%.
Yeah.
I know you specialise in 1v1.
One-to-one coaching, yeah.
One-to-one coaching. What I wanted to ask is, what made you go into that over the traditional coaching?
I think I started my coaching career in America, which was very just like, you know, was team coaching and doing the camps and stuff. Spent 2 years there, and when I was there, everyone was doing privates on the side, one-to-one coaching. It's a big culture doing that. We're doing a bit of extra cash. Yeah. And so when I came back to England, I sort of did that. I started a company where I was doing doing camps as well, and I was doing one-to-one as well. And then I soon realised I fell into this niche. One, I was good at it, and it suited my technical coaching anyway. And I got a lot of kids signed to academies quite quickly, so I built a reputation. Also, I just preferred that sort of business model. Even at 20 years ago, I thought, this is a bit of a saturated market. Everyone's doing camps. Imagine what it's like, and even now. But so I just sort of found this like niche, and it suited me as well. I like the business model. You know, very low, you know, outlays in terms of, you know, my liabilities. Do you know what I mean? You go to a session, you do it, that sort of thing. And like I said, so I sort of fell into it quite quickly and sort of found my niche. But it just all sort of went quite smoothly. And then, like, even when I went into academy football as a skill specialist, if I'm, you know, the stuff I'm doing in the groups or stuff I'm doing individuals, same sort of thing anyway, really. It's all the individual technical development.
No, I was going to say, what was it like starting out in America? Because obviously the football climate.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, like I say, it's like you went there. I'd coached the university team, but not really, and I didn't really coach. I hadn't done any coaching badges, so I was like a blank slate. But what was good about it, I spent 2 years there, or like 9 months and 9 months. I was coaching like 3 to 6 hours every day. That's like I've said it over and over again. There's so much contact time, so much time on the grass. When I came back and I went for a job at Tottenham in the foundation or the community scheme, it's called, I could just put a session on like that. It was just like a second nature because I've done so much, such a high volume, so much practice. Do you know what I mean? Mastering my craft. So I was really fortunate working with, you know, 5s to 18s and different age groups, different abilities, and a lot of fun as well. Traveled around America, you know, living in the house with like 5 lads, playing football every day, going out to Manhattan on a weekend, getting on it, like a bit of banter. It's great. It's great crash. It's like almost extension of uni without having to do any work. It's just kicking the ball around every day. So it was good, great laugh.
So it was in New York where you were?
I was in Long Island and New Jersey, and then in the summers we travel around, do stuff in the camps there. But it's amazing. I'll say to anybody, like, if you're interested, even if you're not interested in coaching, just as an life experience, it really grew me as an individual. I came out of my shell a lot. I had, you know, more being a personality and all those sorts of things was massively sort of important to me.
And the British accent must have been
Accent,
working wonders for you out there.
At what point on your...
Can't talk about that.
Get in trouble. At what point in your career did you go out to America? So obviously at the beginning, were you coaching at academies?
No. I went to uni and I was like played a bit of team and I was coaching the team, and then I was like, I don't know what to do after. And so literally I just went after university and, you know, didn't know what to do. Still want to go to work basically, so I was going to go there and then went there, and then so that was the beginning of my coaching journey there.
Brilliant.
And do you feel like being in the US, which is not necessarily like a footballing nation, was kind of a good place for you to like hone your skills, learn your trade?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think it's like the biggest participation sport in America is football, soccer. Yeah, so they love it, especially on the East Coast. So they especially younger age groups, girls and boys, they play a lot of football. Maybe they don't have the structure, and the academies are much better now than it was 20 years ago. But yeah, and I was lucky. Like, you had like Tim Bradbury, who was like my coach educator, who taught me there. Like, you know, the stuff he taught me was invaluable in terms of like what I do now. I wouldn't be where I am now today if I didn't have him as one of my first coach educators. As well was Keith Bowanis, who was my FA educator here as well. So I was really fortunate. It was like as a like a perfect storm, which I might use that phrase again later again, but other things, but just, had like, it was blank slate, taught this thing, really unconventional way of coaching, in terms of it was very technical based, skill based, 1v1 domination, and I've carried that through to my methodology today. And you get loads of volume, loads of hours, and they're great, and they treat the coaches like, loads of respect. There's real respectful society in terms of you're the coach, and everyone looks up to you, and everyone's really nice to you, amazing facilities. It's great. Do you know what I mean? Not like you go here to your local park and it's dog poo on the flea and like that. You know what I mean? It's just it was a great experience. Being there is really fortunate to do like 2 years there.
How important do you think? Obviously, I've seen some of your sessions, and do you say you specialize on 1v1s? So how important do you think 1v1s is for players like that?
So the 1v1 duel, so we saw what that is really. So we talk about the 1v1 duel. So that's, for me, it's either, you can look at different ways. Either me have a defender, a player in front of me, or the player behind me, or a player on my side, basically. So if you break the game down, those are the key things you've got to try and solve as a situation, right? And then you say, right, how can I solve that? So you have all these different skills to do that and individual tactics. But then also with the ball mastery as well, the ball manipulation, I link that directly to the 1v1 as well. It's really important to have that context. It brings it all together. So to answer your question, it's everything. For me, it's the base, because we talk about, some people talk about technique being the foundation of football. I believe that. But for me, it's the technique linked to the 1v1. That is a real, and talk about accelerating learning. If players can dominate other players, with the ball at their feet, and it can be as simple as maybe sometimes, it doesn't always have to be I'm dribbling past a player, like I talk about Rashford a lot. Rashford likes to pop it off and just run because he's so physical. Maybe I'm like, Xavi, I can dominate by breaking the line with the ball. Do you know what I mean? So lots of different ways to do it, but if you give players those tools, particularly at a young age, it just opens the game up. So it's, for me, it's pivotal.
So reverse back to America. After America, you came back to England.
Yeah.
And then what was like the next step in your
so I came back to do my teacher training. I was a primary school teacher, and then at the same time I got a job part-time at Tottenham, and I was doing coaching and grassroots as well. And so I got a job in the foundation. So I spent a few years doing that and doing, as one does, going to schools and doing like all different, community-based, which is great. Again, loads more hours, loads more experiences. Great. I was wearing, even as an Arsenal fan, having to wear a Tottenham kit, but I was so proud to be working for a professional football club. I never thought I'd do that. Do you know what I mean? It was a real big. I was really proud to do that. Just working in that environment sort of thing, and then teaching at the same time. So I taught full-time for 2 years in a primary school, and then I taught part-time for 3 years, and then coached and then I transitioned to full-time football.
And what were you teaching? Was it like sports or
primary school, everything?
Oh, okay. Everything. So then when you transitioned into like the full-time coaching stuff, that was with the foundation?
No, so what happened was, because as many people in coaching, you have many different hats. You have many different, coaching jobs. So obviously I was teaching, I had PDA Football, which is my coaching company, and I was coaching part-time at Tottenham in the foundation as well, sort of things. So I had all of those, and then that sort of progressed, and there's part-time, then I got a job then I progressed into the academy at Tottenham, so I was working part-time in the academy, doing some stuff in the foundation, having PDA Football, and then teaching, and then sort of progressed into, then that sort of eventually transitioned. It took me, then I went to Chelsea, that was another thing, and then finally after 3.5 years at Chelsea, when I left, I think when I was at Chelsea, then I gave up my teaching. I had my own business. I started my app, my personal football coach, got an app as well, and that was sort of a transition to doing full-time football. But I still was doing three different things. But I had two football businesses and my Chelsea academy job basically.
Okay.
Do you want to speak to us a little bit about your app?
Yeah, so like the app was sort of came down. So I mean, I'm maybe going back 10 years. So it's like a technical training app. So particularly when I was at Tottenham, a big part of the philosophy was giving players technical homework, skill combinations, stuff to do at home they can do to improve them. So it just came from that really. And the idea is, all right, how can I get to, it's just like I've always been entrepreneurial and think about how can I take my brand even bigger, and it's so it's a technical training app. Started with just for working for players and parents, and now there's coach resources on it. Now stuff for clubs. So like Arsenal have used it in their academy, and Blackburn use it now, and Wolves have used it. Loads of academies and grassroots clubs around the world. And there's always like coach education on there as well.
That's brilliant. Sounds good.
So I'm just trying to work out the timeline. And all
so we jumped quite forward there because that's probably a bit after.
Yeah.
So, I mean, going back, probably the next thing is like after I was working in a foundation, teaching, and I got the big opportunity at Tottenham in the development centres to begin with. Very lucky again, fortunate. John McDermott and Chris Ramsey came into Tottenham. They realised that, you know, that when I first started in the community scheme, it was like, you're here, the academy's over there, you know, there's, you know, we're riffraff, you know, we're near it, do you know what I mean? And they came in, they realised there was like, you know, basically an army of coaches, 100 of coaches working in the community, and they are scouts basically. So they literally, there was the integration scheme, integrate us into it because we can see players and recommend them, you know, and that's the way of doing it. And then luckily, fortunate us, some of us were identified as having certain skill sets to work in development centres, and because of my technical coaching, and that's what they wanted at the time, skill-based stuff, that's why brought me in. So I started in development centres, and that was my big break really for working there, and until I got the under-9s gig at Tottenham.
Okay. And when was, like, what year, what kind of time frame was this? Like,
this was about 2000, I think about 2006, 2007 maybe, or something like that.
Okay, interesting. And I don't want to jump too far ahead, but like getting into like the sort of development center academy stuff at that time till now, do you feel like the climate is kind of completely transformed? Or?
Yeah, I mean, it's a different world, literally. I mean, it's good. I mean, one of my first experiences, because obviously development centers are great in doing that, and then going like I was working with Danny Buckle, say he's one of the best coaches I've ever seen around the world, top coach. He was at Arsenal to Tottenham. He's a Brentford, now he's gone back to Arsenal anyway. But I remember helping him with the 9s once, and we went to Hale End at the time. And it was just like an old school, like really old thing. It was Liam Braves in charge, and it was like, and them days, Arsenal and Tottenham hate each other. Like the academies, that they didn't try and nick all our players or blah. But it was a real rivalry. And I remember like the 9s game, it was like a war. It was great. The intensity, so much fun. It's like great. It's boys. And we had that year. We had the first year. We had a really good 9s group. We were competing with them.
Yeah.
And it was great. I was like, wow, this is a buzz, man. I love this. Such good. You know, it's great. It's just great fun, right?
Yeah.
So just going back, but like I said before, like you play like big clubs, and, you know, under 9s, and they just, you know, stick it in the corners, stick it in the channels, you know, turn in, you know, long ball football, and then or just beat you up, like really physical. So and I remember at the time as well, you know, we thought we were doing something really different at Tottenham because we have a technical program. At the time, the England team was struggling. They didn't have that many technical players. So they weren't like Beckham was our only sort of player. So we felt like some sort of movement there, doing something special. So I was interested, but then like that was pre EPPP. Let me know about that. It was when the Premier League changed the academy system, and then, you know, after that, then everything really started to accelerate the change in terms of professionalism. Everyone started playing football the right way. The FA had a big change. Dan Ashworth and Gareth Southgate was in charge of 21s. They started having more forward-thinking coaches, and recruitment was better. Richard Allen came in recruitment. They've recruited more technical players, smaller players, where it used to be just big physical units. The England teams were playing better football. So like it's another perfect storm. Like that was good. So it really changed English academy football for the better.
Interesting. Very interesting.
So after Spurs, where was your journey?
Yes, I did sort of spent a year or two in the development centres, and I did under 9s for 2 years, and I did the under 11s for 2 years, and then basically I left Tottenham and got an opportunity to go to Chelsea. And for me at the time, you got to think back at the time, it was, you know, Cobham had just been built. We'd go there, and they were like so far ahead of everybody else. It was always my ambition to work for them. Massive. They were at the time dominating academy football until like, you know, you argue about maybe Man City now taking and the questions. And it's just changed.
So the volume of players that have come.
Exactly. They were just so aggressive. They just put more money into it than anybody else. They dominated recruitment. They had more better players. You know. So anyway, so I went to Chelsea, had the opportunity, and that was another big step up and a great experience to go there.
At Chelsea, were you working with a specific age group? Were you involved in working on a technical side of the game?
No, so I went in there, and then the first year I started doing stuff. Like my first year was the under 10s, and I was doing stuff in the working development centres as well. So my under 10s group was Jamal Musiala, Tino Livramento, Levi Colwill. There's like Razaki was in there, Louis Bate. There's loads of players, and they've gone on to have, like, even now, like we called them like the Harlem Globetrotters. They're top. They were so ridiculous. They were like so good. There's so many good players in there. So that was the first year, and then after that, then I went to do like the 9s, and then the 9s in the and then, you know, so it's really good.
Brilliant. So after Chelsea, did you go into any other club, or did you work on your personal
So basically, it got to a point. I'd done 4.5 years at Chelsea. I remember like one day I came into Chelsea and they gave us all this gear, and I had like 2 of the wrong trainers on. I wore 2 trainers on when they weren't. They're both black Adidas. They're both wrong, and I was just like, I was so tired because I was being part-time in the academy, but also then I had my personal football coach, my app, and PDA Football, my coaching company. So, and I just said to my boss, like, I just can't, there's too much going on here. I'm just literally stretched. Didn't feel like I was doing any of them properly. So I had to make a decision. Do I want to do this full-time or go into my stuff? And I really do my own stuff full-time. And I felt passionate about my personal football coach, my individual coaches. So I thought, right, I'm going to have to step out. And it's difficult actually. I've got mentors have been a really important part. And one of my mentors, Bola, big shout out to Bola, he's like, said, look, don't worry about it. You just, you've been good. You got 10 years in academy football, no one ever take that away from you. So, I mean, people thought I was mad walking out of Chelsea, like leaving Chelsea, because it's such a big brand. But like, I thought I didn't really want to work full time then. No disrespect to those guys. I didn't see myself working full time. They're being behind the desk and doing that stuff. I wanted to be on the pitch, and I've really sort of, like I said, believed my own stuff, my entrepreneurial spirit, and like I say, my personal football coach was in the early inception sort of time, and I wanted to sort of carry. I wasn't ready just to leave it, and you would have had to do that really to go full time.
Yeah. So, was there a moment in time where you believed that this is it, this is what I want to do, and leave all academy football behind?
I just think it was just like I said, it was accumulation. Really thinking like I'm just knackered.
Yeah.
I was too stretched.
There wasn't like a specific moment.
And it was just like maybe it was that day when I had 2 wrong trainers. It's like, I think we're going to Reading or something. But anyway, so I just said, look, I can't make a decision, and sort of made the big step, and I don't regret it. I've never regretted it since.
Rewind though, back to Chelsea, because I feel like you name dropped some big hitters, but we didn't really touch on it. You obviously name dropped Jamal Musiala.
Top.
It's one of my favourite players right now.
Did you know straight away? How long did you work?
Well, that 10s group, there was him and there was another guy called Ben Elliott. Ben at the time was the best player in London, maybe in the country.
For his age group, yeah. And
he was the same age. So him and Jamal were the best in that group, and maybe you could argue Ben was like, Ben obviously had a lot of stuff going on. He'd got injuries, stuff happened outside the game, and he's at Reading now as a career. But at the time, younger player was top. So they were the 2 standards. We had so many of them. There's so many good players. But yeah, Jamal was like obviously the same. He's a dribbler, so great, and just adventurous, exciting, and. Yeah, so top. So those, knew those good, but like there were so many good players around. But I had then, a couple of years ago, I had Rio Ngumoha went to Liverpool. I say him for me was always the best prospect in terms of the. I said to I know the bro. I said probably if you ask me who's probably the best potential I've seen, probably might be Rio.
Rio ahead of like Jamal and that.
Yeah, I'd probably say they're both amazing players. I don't know, something about Rio, just about like. His feet were so quick and his mood drive. They're both amazing. Look, I'm not, they're amazing. But if someone said you have to choose one, I have to. I'd probably choose Red, just barely.
Yeah.
But but then you've got to meet Chelsea was just full of amazing, talented players.
Yeah.
And some of them, haven't gone on to do stuff. Some of them, like Jamal and Rio have. It's just unbelievable talent there.
And that group, that crop of players with Jamal and that, how long did you work with them for?
I just did the 10s. I did 1 year, so I was coach of the 10s. Yeah, they went a while, and then actually I started with the 9s after that, and then 9s, and then
That's mad though that you say Rio is the he's a baller.
He does look good, but I was gonna say we've obviously on the TV we've not seen much of him compared to
Jamal, but I feel like we've seen enough.
Jamal, remember, a few years ahead, isn't he?
Yeah.
Obviously Jamal's a bit, but now remember is 16 and now he's playing Liverpool's first team.
I can't really remember Jamal's journey, but I don't feel like 16 he was doing like, do you know what I mean? Like 16, bro.
Who's that, Jamal?
Yeah, Jamal's top talent, and he was. That's why he went to Munich. I mean, that's why he's always been that top.
Yeah.
Maybe Rio's gone there and got there a bit quicker. Maybe that's part of the reason why they went there, or part of the deal of him going there was to make sure. But he's ready for any, as you see the other night.
So when the move happened with Rio from Chelsea to Liverpool, had you were gone by then?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
You were long gone by then. Interesting. What do you think of that? Like, do you feel like?
Listen, it's difficult. I know James, his brother, and I've said James has got to be given a lot of credit to where Rio is because he's really driven him and driven his career. But it's difficult. You only get one chance. You got to make a decision. I've assumed they've gone there for the pathway.
Yeah.
And Liverpool, play a lot of young players. Maybe that not. You look at now Chelsea and the backlog they got there.
Yeah,
it's probably one of the reasons why Noni's moved on as well. There's so many players coming in. You know what I mean? It's like that's maybe one of the reasons. I've been saying that. Other players have gone to play there. It's difficult. It's it's a difficult decision. I'm glad I don't have to make the decision because obviously Chelsea's an amazing top club.
Yeah,
Liverpool's that. But I mean, if you're a parent or carer doing that to make a decision, that's a really tough one to make.
Yeah. So then after Chelsea, that's when you just jumped into your own thing.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I always had my coaching company.
Yeah.
And then I really sort of focused on the app and my one-to-one, and it sort of took, really sort of went to the next level, really, yeah.
And what did that sort of process journey look like?
It's difficult. Yeah, it's not travelling. It's good. It's funny, I tell a story a lot. I mean, when I was first at Tottenham, I loved travelling. I was like emailing these people around the world. I want to go here, do that, do these camps. And this guy did a few camps. Guy in Thailand got back to me. He said, "You can do a camp," and we're chatting. He goes, "Yeah, you can do it, but you can't use the Tottenham brand." He was like, "Yeah, but the only problem is no one knows who you are. It's a thing." And I was like, anyway. So then I thought, I want to get to the point where I can travel around the world on my own brand, on my own name. That was my thing. So most of my target to do that. So, flying forward, how many years that is. No, unfortunately, I can do that. So to answer your question, it's good. I've been building the brand, building my USP, and really spending time to do that. And I'm lucky to the point now I can, travel around the world and do coaching stuff. So I do a lot of consultancy now, but I'm doing that now. I was in Sweden a couple of years ago, doing some stuff at Brighton. I've consulted at Arsenal. So now this is the next stage of my career, really.
Yeah.
You've coached all over the world. What's your favourite country you've coached in?
It's nice going to Marbella Football Centre. I'm not a party goer or anything. I'm not going to the club.
You can tell you're not partying.
I'm not. I do. I go back to hotels, sit in the pool, and then watch Netflix on the other. I'm not quite so, but it's just because the facilities are so amazing.
Yeah.
So Marbella Football Centre is one of the best. I was lucky the off season. We did some stuff in Monaco with Flo Balogun, Semenyo, and Elijah Dixon-Bonner, who plays QPR at the Monaco training ground. That was amazing. It's like built into this rock. It's like a Bond villain hideout. It's amazing. The scene, see the videos. That's top. I love going to Asia. I've done a lot of coaching in Asia. I'm going to China at the end of the month. That's going to be a bucket list for me. So it's tough. But nice question. It's just, it's nice. It's really nice going to new places. But I think I've got my favourite places as well, like I say, just because it's nice going to facilities which are just top. The grass is being watered. I've done stuff. I worked at Arsenal, did a consultancy, but I've done stuff now I've done some stuff with Reece Nelson there and Noni now as well. That's going to London Coney is amazing. Do you know what I mean? Because it's some top facilities. So, those are great places to go out there.
So mentioning all these places, what's been the biggest cultural differences in how some of the players approach the game in these places? Yeah,
I think because in COVID I spent did 2 6-month stints in Thailand, and that was a bit of culture because the players didn't have the bite or the hunger maybe as something like the boys from England or London. Maybe that's different. Maybe it's a climate thing. So a bit different. Maybe it wasn't as easy to motivate them. They didn't have that natural, bite, tenacity. But it's different. But that's all different things. And it's difficult sometimes to different cultures is a challenge. Sometimes you can't get into players as much. That's you're a bit more conservative. So you got to be conscious of that, I suppose. But it's good. It's one of the challenges of coaching. You've got to be adaptable.
Yeah, you learn from it as well. Sure. So in terms of building your client base, building your sort of repertoire of the players that you work with one-to-one, how does that happen? Do you know what I mean? I'm trying to picture it in my head, how you came in to start training Noni and all of these guys.
Noni came through a friend of mine, Junior. Shout out to Junior, he's an agent. Basically, Noni's old agent. Noni was coming back to London. This one, he's at PSV, and he said, "I'm looking for someone to on training." Luckily, Junior, I still have a drink for this. Sorted me out. He linked me, and then we just hit it off from there. Basically, we did a pre-season, off-season, about 3 or 4 weeks intensity. We worked his things. So 2 weeks later, he had the Cruyff Cup in Holland, which is the Community Shield. He scored 2 goals, 2 bangers. We were exactly on. He was addicted, so that was that. And then it's sort of a spirals from that, really. So to answer your question, helps. Obviously, when I first started 20 years ago, like I said, I was probably one of the first ones to really organise as a specialist one-to-one coach. Yeah. So that's what was known as that. And so, like I said, I had a lot of success in coaching players getting signed at academies in the individual space, not anything. I was actually working with them, and now every day they've said, "I've got this kid's got signed, he's with us." But I was actually working one-to-one players and getting them signed. So then that's the reputation, and with social media, it becomes its own little sort of beast. And obviously then, back in the day, the first pros I got, with just people like, Marcus McGrain as a young guy ended up going to Barcelona. We came back, I think he plays Oxford, and then sort of it just builds with that. So the answer to your question is it's a reputational things, name, word of mouth, social media. You get loads of inquiries of Instagram all the time, and I remember back in the day actually, it's like I had this ex-girlfriend. She was like a personal trainer, and she was like, "This is pre-social media." She had a website, and I thought, "That's what I need, a website." This is like this website 20 odd years ago, and I had a website. Now I've got loads of business for that, and even that same website still performs top of Google. And obviously, then you get the social media, and then you get that sort of thing. So and then obviously now it's a point where because you're working with the top players, and people come to you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's sick.
Yeah, you've worked with obviously top players that you've mentioned. Question I have is, what separates these pros compared to the rest of them?
I think it's a combination of things. I mean, in the very basic is technically they're better, but but you get a lot of technical players, but it's the consistency of technical execution at speed and intensity, really. They got mentality like someone like Flo Balogun. I say a lot, he's just so focused. He's just he's a beast. He's in the zone. He's going to score goals. These guys are channeled like Noni, same. He's just like, I saw he's a mentality monster. He's on it. You just got to say no. You got to calm down. He wants to be so driven. Wants to work so hard to be the best he can be. So, combination of these things, these guys, the new generations, particularly, they know, they're willing. They know they got to work harder. They want to be the best. They're not like get some pros. In fact, I know some pros I've worked with. They get to the point they get a massive contract and they just fade out. They can't because they're paid a lot of money. But then some of these guys are saying, "Listen, no, I'm not there. I'm not arrived. I'm going to do more. So it's you get it's difficult. I think it's that consistency to have to do it and bring it every day as well, and get out of bed and go and train. On a day off, and really willing to put the extras in, basically.
Yeah, you mentioned something that I like. You said it's about, obviously for me, I feel like going down the pyramid of football. Obviously, majority of the players are technical from Premier League, Championship, League One. But it's the speed level that they do at the Premier League that is the difference between everyone else, because everyone can do the step over and a turn, whatever, but it's just the speed that like Cole Palmer does it compared to a Championship player. So that's a very important point that young footballers need to know, because they think, because now when I coach some of the kids, I say, make sure you do the Cruyff turn and spin off. They'll do the Cruyff turn and take 2 minutes to spin off.
That's what I mean. You talk about my philosophy is called dynamic ball mastery. That's what it's about. So we always say a lot. It's not just about developing the techniques, about developing a body for the modern game. And God gives you what they gives you, for whatever God you believe in or whatever, but you got to squeeze every ounce out of that you can do. And they say so that's what I do. You got to be able to play off both sides, be able to turn off both sides. That's why I do the ball mastery. People have a misconception, it's not only about the techniques, it's about being able to balance the coordination. I can turn on both sides, I can play with both feet, opens up the game to me. And then you got to squeeze that. That's why everything's got to be done explosively. You got to be a bit more dynamic, a bit more explosive, whatever you've got to maximise that. So so Emma Smith Rowe's a great example. He runs as quick with the ball he does without the ball, and that's the level. I say to everybody, how do you move? Speed's one thing, but speed with the ball is the key. A lot of players do better because they can just move better with the ball. So that's why spending time on the ball is really important, but obviously it's about being efficient and effective. So it means work into a plan or a system and try and be dynamic with the ball, and that's what these guys have. Do you know what I mean? And listen, it's different. Someone like Noni's just an athlete. He's so explosive, so dynamic. He's a proper athlete, but he's got the skill as well. You need that. Semenyo, explosive around the box, has the technique, the unbelievable technical execution on the left and the right foot, but has a physicality, can travel the ball as well. So listen, at the very highest level now, you can't get away from it. If you're not an athlete, you got very little chance. I mean, that's the thing. Maybe in the old days you get away with it. But it's still, I say to anyone, you want to maximise your potential. Be as quick as you are with the ball as you are without the ball.
So is that it's interesting you say the thing about the athlete thing. Is that something you feel like you've seen unfold throughout your journey in football? Like nowadays, I feel like to get to the top, you just have to be athletic. But it wasn't necessarily the case back in the day. Like you saw more players were like
technical
bellies and kind of slow.
I think maybe you had more like a maverick. You had players get away with it. You'd be the 10. Where the game maybe doesn't allow as much room for that, which is probably a problem, because you have people more than you think, because the game at the highest level is so quick and so dominating about running and stuff like that. But the problem we have in England, we go the other way when recruiting. We worry more about what players can do off the ball than what can do on the ball. He can run, but he's so good on the ball, but off the ball he can't do anything. Well, don't worry about that at academy young players and see how they grow. We're still obsessed with what they do off the ball. English football's always been that big physical anyway. But I mean, you can't. There's no avoiding it. So, I mean, at the highest level, you want to play Premier League or Champions League, you need to be able to run.
Because I have a friend, I used to work with him, he's French. He played in Lyon's academy when he was a kid, and he was telling me the story about the first time he played against Adel Taarabt. And he was like, Taarabt was coming off the bench, and all the boys on this team looked at him and just started laughing at him because he was mad chubby. They were thinking, what's this guy gonna do? And then he got the ball and he just started like dribbling past everyone, and he was like, I've never seen anyone like it. Like, he said Taarabt and Ben Arfa were the best players he's ever played against in his life. And I just feel like in academy football, youth football, in like this day and age, you're just way less likely to see players like that playing at academy top level if they're like extremely out of shape or whatever.
I don't think you have to be extremely out of shape. Maybe just not very athletic. I mean, you can't run that fast. I think that's the problem. The problem is that there's no, like in academy football, there should be no excuse a young player, 9, 10, 11, he can't run. It doesn't because when he gets to puberty, you don't know what they're going to turn out to be. You got to give them the chance. You should be, if they're that good on the ball, you give them a chance to see where it goes. Do you know what I mean? So it's not even about them, about overweight. Maybe because I get all the time, they can't really get around the pitch without the ball. So who cares? Do you know what I mean? Give them the ball and they're the best player on the pitch with the ball. And then see what happens. 5, 6 years down the line. So there's still too much emphasis on that, in my opinion. But we can do.
And in your coaching, do you focus solely on the ball stuff, or do you?
Everything's on the ball. And even like defenders, you win the ball. It's about winning it to get on the ball and then in possession. I mean, that's the thing. Even when I'm working defenders, I'm working about getting the ball again, stepping in, breaking lines, and getting that sort of thing. That's I'm an in possession coach. Well, like I say, around the 1v1. I'm still working, recovery, transitions, or winning the ball back. It's about winning the ball back with a purpose and then go and attack. Now, whether that's a long like to a centre back, whether that's a diag, whether I'm stepping in, I'm playing, I'm driving. That's what you in a modern game. You got to have those in locker.
100%. This is our kind of coach. We got a friend, Dammy, who's always banging on about out of possession. Arsenal are the best out of possession. And I'm just like,
listen, it's an important part of the game, but I grew up,
but
people like Raquel May and
exactly.
I want to be entertained. Bergkamp when I was young, watching Arsenal, young Tottenham, Hoddle, Waddle, Gaza. Imagine, but these also whole players, like Henri, all these. These are the players that this is the sort of football I want. That's what I've always been obsessed with. That's why my coaching 100%. Reflects that. But that's what football's about.
100%.
I want to watch a 0-0 draw.
Boring, isn't it? I couldn't imagine.
And it's like you're watching academy football and it's a 0-0 ball, and it's just we mum makes us a joke. What's the formation? He doesn't care. He's just going to attack. Do you know what I mean? That's what he's doing. Just go out there and score more goals the opposition. That's what all attacking academy football be at the youngest, at the foundation phase. Then obviously it's important to talk about tactics and defensive shape. But we had this sort of conversation where you say, for me, if you're watching an academy game and you got one attacker and they got 2 defenders there, for me it's unforgivable. Unforgivable. You got to go 1v1 because you've got to challenge your defenders to do it. And also, why are you playing safe like that? Be courageous. It's academy football. There's no 3 points. It's not. You're not going to cut, are you? So that's so then you have to have that mentality as a coach, as a club, to say, right, we're just going to really go for it. And like I say, end up possession is important, but your players, if you're not good in possession, you've got no chance. If you're a Cat 1 club and you've got a defender who's not good in possession, you've got no chance anyway. So you focus on the in possession stuff.
Just a quick question. So with the 1v1 stuff, would you encourage all players do it? So for example, like myself, I was a defensive player, centre back, CDM. Would you encourage all players to go ahead and do something like that? Because obviously I feel like I can take on a player, but it'll be more on strength, put my arm on I won't have the confidence to actually think, step over and go that way. I might do it once every 10 games, but not.
So what I say, like to everyone, I say, right, what's your position? And then what are the game-changing moments of your position? So say as a centre-back. So centre-back is obviously, right, got to win possession, fair enough. So we can do that. So 1v1 defending, lots of aerial controls. How good are you bringing the ball out of your first touch? How will you have control? And then obviously, ball coming, that's my first 1v1. I'm going to control the ball's return to here. So what's that? It's a movement. It's a disguise to maybe send him one way or her one way, then go the other way. Then they say you're using your arm. Maybe then I've got defender here. I'm turns to try and break pressure, to try and turn to break pressure. the best players, the best defenders can do that and then break the line. Then can I move with the ball, travel with the ball? My next one was maybe a defender in front of me. I'm a little movement there. But obviously then I'm working lots on receiving it, bang, diag, lots of playing in there. So you've got the repertoire of the ball striker as well. So all those things, you're breaking the line, you're breaking the 1v1 with the pass as well. You know what I mean? So focus on those things. You know what I mean? I do loads of receive when I play with centre backs. I do loads of receiving, aerial control receiving, so comfortable both sides, playing out both sides. Do you know what I mean? But then being able to turn under pressure. Ball comes in. I can look at Levi Colwill, so good at it. Vice pressure, I can do that, and I can turn go one way. So focus on that. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, then you obviously works on your 1v1 defending, out possession, and your organisation, communication, all those those things about you off the out possession. But the in possession stuff is gonna really, if you don't have that, and your ceiling is going to be very low.
You just answered my next question, because my next question was going to be, obviously depending on what player and position your client is, do you tailor your sessions to their positions?
Yeah, 100%. So my thing's about, when you're working with the older players or pro players or people, YDP teenagers, right? What's their position? What's the game changing moments of position? Yeah. So, for example, as a fullback, obviously it's the game 1v1 defending, but in a lot of modern games, as a fullback, you'll judge what you do in the final third. So when fullback's going to break down what that looks like with the game-changing moment, it's going to look a lot of times going to have a defender in front of me, so I've got to be able to beat a defender, go both sides maybe, and then obviously want to do that zone, and then obviously with the defender on my side, because I'm out wide, lots of repetition of that, and then obviously then end product, got to be able to cross, got to be able to cut and cross both feet, got to be able to play forward, maybe shooting from angles and stuff like that. So what you try and do is you break down the game, those game-changing moments, and then practice those all the time. That's all you should be practicing. So you're really efficient with this training. I'm going to train, I'm doing an hour session. I do a ball and basketball warm-up, we do some movement work with the ball, and then with position-specific work. Okay, same with Noni or those guys. That right? What's that look like? He plays. If we work on the right side or the left, break it down. Where's the pressure going to be? How can he beat the pressure? How can he get shots on target, shots or assists? You know what I mean? So really, rather than go there and you're doing ladders and stuff, and you're doing half volleys all day, actually try and replicate what the game's going to look like. You know what I mean? In your session.
Do you ever work with keepers? I feel like keepers nowadays.
Listen, I think I get a lot because we go into clubs and keepers say, "Oh, what about us?" I said, "No, well, look, this is probably more applicable to you than anybody else. If you're a goalie and you not good at your feet, and you can't, cut with both sides and get a bit of pressure, you've got no chance. So you need to be having. And what happens, unfortunately, because we had this conversation the other day, like the keepers are the most spoiled players in the club. They've got their own coaches, they get their own little warm-ups, they got so very, very fortunate. But the problem is that when a lot of time when all the boys are doing their technical work or the girls are doing their technical work, they'll get taken away with the keeper coaches, and they maybe don't get the ball mastery and that sort of stuff. So they really need it as much, and even more maybe, because maybe, and also a lot of time they don't have the flexibility, like I say, the movement, the agility, the movement in the hips. They're quite stiff maybe, so big boys growing. So that's they should be doing it as much as anybody else.
How important do you think it is for players to take this approach compared to how things were like 10-15 years ago?
This is different. There's many different ways to do things. Do you know what I mean? I'm very clear how I do things. Where 1v1 domination, people can't stand. Some people don't like what I do. They say, "Oh, you work in isolation from the game. It's not transferable to the game. There's no context." I had this argument on Twitter earlier. His coach obviously thinks he's the top coach. But it's like saying, "Oh, it's not representative of the game because it's in isolation." So, well, it is. That's a big misconception. Like they think, "Oh, there's no context." I say, "Well, it is. That's the whole point. You got to link the context, and that's 100%. Why it's really important." And they can't see that. And you go to someone like Spain, they do everything. Positional games, they do any sort of that sort of stuff. So everyone's different. There's lots of different ways to do it. I've proven what I can do, and what I do works at the highest level. And I've worked in academies, so you just got to keep on developing, I think.
Sick.
What advice would you have for like the young inspiring coaches like myself? Obviously I would love to reach the level that you've reached one day. What sort of advice would you give? I
think it's difficult. I get a question a lot, and I speak to a lot of coaches. There's such a saturated market now. Every man is dog's an individual coach. Everyone's saying so many people post-COVID just blew up, right? So your main problem is going to be, right, what's your USP? What's your unique selling point? What's going to distinguish you between everybody else? What's your niche? Obviously, my niche was my niche was the individual coach and the technical stuff. So, see what's going to, and what's going to, that's going to be main challenge. very crowded market. How are you going to stand out? How are you going to get people in? I mean, there's lots of basic ways to do it. Obviously, you could be professional and that light and all those things, but still, it's very tough. And there's lots of young coaches now. A coach called Tom I know here. He's so aggressive on social media. He's doing really well. It's like he's posting it. So like, social media's got to be your first port of call. And it's probably I was posting. I still do my stuff. I posted, this morning. I was like, I post on LinkedIn and on Instagram and TikTok and on YouTube and X. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's not, but like you've got to really almost cover, especially if you're starting up. You need to saturate that world as well. So social media game's got to be there. And what's your unique selling point? And it's just about, I think, professionalism as well. It's really important. You know what I mean? You turn up early for sessions. You got a bag of balls. Clean bag of balls. You look smart. You look like a thing. I mean, that, because word of mouth is still going to be the most important advertisement you're going to do. Do you know what I mean? In your coach.
What about coaches trying to work their way into academies and work their way up?
Yeah, it's difficult because I think now, it's still difficult to get in. But like I said, now a lot of the academies have these foundations. So at Chelsea now, they start doing that as well. When I was there, so they have the link to foundations, so you can see there's a pathway up. But it's difficult, everyone wants to get there. So, I think, maybe some people go in the scouting route, select players, get them in, those things. But if you're a good coach, I still think, if you're a good top young coach and you're really good at the top of your game, you can get a good opportunity. Do you know what I mean? But then you've got to master your craft, like say, you've got to do your research, become a student of the game. It sounds a bit of a cliche, but it's true.
100%.
And be the best you can be. And you've got to have the hunger. I was so hungry when I was younger. I wanted to be the best in the world at what I do. I said I want to be the best in the world, and who used to laugh at me and said, no, I'm going to, that was so, focused. That's what you got to be, because, it's difficult out there.
Yeah, definitely. So you touched a bit on the consulting stuff you do.
Yeah.
Could you delve a bit more into that?
Yeah, so for example, last year Brighton approached me. They said, basically, look, Saul, our boys are really good in team environments. Moving the ball is not very creative individual stuff. And then that's an effect of the coaching programs in the FA, which are good, but they're really focused on game-based stuff and team-based, and they've gone away from the individual technical work completely. Yeah. So there's a bit missing there, and luckily that's good for me because that's my specialism. So I'll go in there and I help clubs or federations with their individual program, try and make players more skillful. So we talk about the ball mastery program, linking it to the game, the 1v1 program, how the practice is set up. Talk about how to give them high volume, quality repetition. So it's not about working with the coaches and the players, but session design, what they do in their curriculum, how can we maximise it and make it a little bit more individual, Well, the key thing is always linking it to the game.
Yeah. Interesting. And have you had a lot of clubs approach you to do?
Yeah, like I said, I did stuff at Arsenal previously. I've done stuff at Wolves, Blackburn, using my app at the moment. I'm doing stuff at Brighton at the moment. I was in Red Bull a couple of months ago. There's a presentation there. I was in Bournemouth last week, going Villa next week. Okay. Singapore and Hong Kong FA have approached me to do some stuff there.
See you in Holland quite a lot.
So would you say that's sort of taken over the
I've sort of made the thing. I mean, that's where I want to move my career into more consultancy phase now. Have a much smaller client base, have the online offering, and then my consultancy. To do that with the clubs, basically.
Do you feel like you enjoy that more than
I think it's a good challenge because I miss being in a club. So you're nice, you go in there. I was in a club in Gothenburg the other day. You go in there for 2 days, because you miss all the banter with the coaches, with the players, and the vibes, so you get that a little bit without having all the crap and the politics and obviously that sort of stuff around. So it's really it's nice. Love to go in these environments, see what they're doing, and then share a bit as well. It's great.
Sick.
So
one more thing I talk about. I've launched my new course, which is a course for one-to-one coaches. So I thought there was the thing is when you're one-to-one coach, it's no one really knows what to do. There's no courses. There's no
everyone's freestyling.
Everyone's free, and it's difficult because no one's taught you how to do it, and everyone has their own vision. So I put together a course which is a clear step-by-step methodology how to structure courses, structure my philosophy, how to structure sessions, step-by-step, loads of modules in there, how to do it from beginners, warm-ups, everything, break down the philosophy, the ideology, and also there I have a full session library as well with Premier League players, grassroots players, and also have interviews I do interviews myself about business and social development, interview other coaches as well, around some of the top coaches around the world doing it as well. So I've started this course which is a level 1 basically. My first course gives coaches an idea how to structure sessions properly and structure businesses.
How can the people that are watching?
You can go to. We'll get the description. I'll give you the link, and I'll give you a discount link as well. Exclusive discount link. It's just basically mypersonalfootballcoach.com, and go to the coach section. You see it's a 1-to-1 training course there. Basically, it's brand new.
Yeah. All right. Brilliant. So in terms of the players you've coached, was there any player in particular that surprised you?
Exceeded expectations.
Yeah, I'm listening. Lots of players have gone on to do really well. Tyreek George done really well. I had him in my group, and Tyreek was like, maybe when he started, maybe wasn't in the top 4 or 5 players in that group. Yeah, because he had some real big hitters. But now, he's always a really good player though, and it's his hard work until he's moved up and become, he's always become a first team player. Yeah. And that goes to show you, maybe you don't have to be the best player at number 9. Under 9, you have to be the best player at under 16, under 18. Yeah. But that's just about hard work. Great work ethic, run all day, put loads of work in.
He's just left Chelsea, isn't it?
He was going to go to Fulham when I don't know if it's fell through.
I thought you played for Chelsea the other day.
I think they might. We went to the transfer. He was going to go on the transfer to London, but I think that might fell through in the last minute.
I thought they were trying to sell him.
He literally. I think he played the last game they had.
Maybe.
I think it might have fell through at the last minute at Fulham. I think. I heard it might have fell through. But anyway, he done well. I'm not necessarily surprised because he was always a good prospect. Yeah. But just goes to show things change and players come at different rates. I'm trying to think of anybody else really. Not sure really. Yeah,
because the reason why I asked that is just so for the young players out there. A lot of people might have confidence issues because they might be the 4th or 5th best player.
Actually, let's say that Max Aarons. Yeah. So Max came to me as on the 14-year-old, had left Luton, didn't have a club for 2 years. So for 2 years, couldn't have a club. All we did was didn't have a team. Just trained with me for 2 years, and then I got him into Chelsea for trial, didn't get successful. Tottenham had a look at him, weren't interested, like that. And so 2 years didn't have a club, and thought, he's not going anywhere quick. And he under 16, he got a scholarship. 3 years later, he's on the.
Was that with Norwich?
With Norwich, and 3 years later, he's in the Golden Boy list in the Premier League. Do you know what I mean? So that was a massive. That's a big, jump up surprise 100%. Going from no club for 2 years to be on the Golden Boy list and being, Bayern Munich tried to buy him, Barcelona tried to buy him, that sort of thing. It's a great career.
What can I say? So that was my point really, was because obviously the players that might think they're 4th, 5th best have confidence issues.
Yeah, listen, it's always there's, like I say, there's always room to improve. Yeah. Always the best players still doing it, but nothing's set in stone. Yeah. I mean, it's always, you always get better. You work hard, you can outwork. It's amazing what you can do if you outwork people as well. If you put in 100%, your acceleration will go. You'll take over. That old thing. Talent doesn't work hard. Whatever that. It's just you just do it. Do you know what I mean? Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
That's what my AFC Wimbledon manager used to say to us all the time. And it stuck with me forever. Yeah. But
you love that one.
Yeah, all the time because when we have these discussions, when you talk about. Because obviously I like players that work hard as well. Yeah. I don't think it's always about talent.
You've got to have that. Yeah. People ask me all the time, what's your advice be going on trials? Number one, you've got to be the hardest working. If you're not the hardest working player there in your trial, go away. There's no point. Same as if you want to be a pro, you're not out there working every day, don't talk to me. You're wasting everyone's time. Yeah. You got to be the hardest working player. You run your socks off. Go out there, boom. Then what after that? Then you need the technical quality, then the execution. But the minute no one's going to outrun me today. No one's going to outwork me today. If you go in that, it's like, still have conversation with some players now. It's like, how have you not got that? Yeah. If you want to play at a highest level, and some people personally don't have that. I know pros in the Premier League don't necessarily have that. Yeah. But it's just frustrating to me. It's like you've got all the ability, just run. Do you know what I mean? Just run like your life depends, because it does depend on it. Your football life depends on it.
100%.
But there's certain players that's just not their nature.
Yeah, because people are just different personalities.
We know a couple of pros as well, and quality on the ball, ability wise, top notch.
Yeah.
But when it comes to off the ball and running. Not so bothered.
Yeah.
So it just depends on. I think it depends on your personal character as well.
It does a lot depend on that. But then it's same. If you've got players in academy football, that's our job to work on that. So we talk about players coming out the foundation phase. You should be 2-footed. If you're not 2-footed, if you've got a player in from 8 till 12 and they're not 2-footed, you're doing something wrong. Yeah. If you're coming out and the players doesn't work, and sometimes you can't. Because I've worked with players. Michael Olise was at Chelsea. They asked him to leave because they couldn't work with him. They couldn't because he didn't want it because his personality. He's one of the best footballers in the world. He was amazing talent, but he just wouldn't conform to that. So sometimes he can't. And some players maybe don't have to. He's a maverick, and so how maybe we don't deal with those mavericks properly. But some, you've got to try and get into the players and say, and obviously most players don't have his natural ability, So if you don't have, he's very lucky to be one of the best footballers in the world. But if you don't have that, you've got to, bring that other stuff to the table.
What sort of reasons or problems did they have with his sort of character, do you think?
Which
at
one
Chelsea?
particularly?
Was it at Chelsea?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's don't go too into it much. It's just difficult. You know, he was very unique personality.
Yeah.
You know, I remember coaching a few times, and he killed a couple of my sessions because, and you know, you try to put his arm around you, and he'd pie you off. He'd try to get into him, he'd pie you off. So sometimes you just couldn't. You know, he was a maverick. So I look back, and say I didn't know how to deal with him. It was in my sessions, and then the club didn't either. So we probably have to do better. You know, to do that. You know, if they wanted to do that, you know, he's gone, you know, to Reading and become like a world class player. So, you know, this question is difficult, and every personality is different. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Loads of players, you know, who've gone, you know, and have been, you know, academies after leave, haven't gone through, and they haven't had the career he's had.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
100%. Yeah,
So
go both ways.
you know, so it's difficult, and you know, that's where you need specialists in there, you need experience and those sort of things.
Because that's what I was gonna say next. Because obviously, one thing I learned on my UEFA course is like how to deal with like the sort of kids' mentality and why they act the way they're acting. Yeah. And what we can do to get what we want. It might be different compared to the other kid, but we can still get the same outcome from all players. I
think it's about understanding, like you mentioned earlier, like, you know, kids could be homeless. You don't know. You know what's going on. So like, got to really be really open. You know, kid comes in late, you know, you batter him for being late, but why they're late, you don't know what's going on at home.
Of course.
So you have to really, you know, be careful, be open minded, and try, you know, dig as, you know, like a bit of a counsellor, stroke therapist, you know, carer as a coach as well. You got to really do that, and you know, try and, you know, understand that. You know, I think with me, it's always had, like, I'm like really strict in terms of like punctuality and standards and stuff like that. But you need, you know, understand, you know, stuff going on in the background as well.
What I think it is as well, because I'm like yourself, that's what I'm used to. But I feel like obviously we were brought up old fashioned, and football coaches coached us old fashionedly. Like if we got the bollocking, like kind of like not enjoyed it, but this is normal. Do you know what I mean? Whereas now it's not very good to shout at a kid or give the bollocking.
But I also say, like, if the kid's late and the kid's walking across here, I say, why are you walking here? I don't care. Something can happen here, but now you're here, you run across, so I'm late. That's the minimum. Okay, you're late. At least sorry. If you're walking across here, that's winding me up. You're just taking a piss. Like, it's just disrespectful. Disrespectful for me, the group, everybody. Thing the same. You know, you disrespect for yourself. You're in a, you know, especially in an academy environment. So that's, you know, you can still have those standards here. Okay, next time run across. Say sorry, it doesn't matter. Okay, I don't, you know, fair enough. There's traffic again here, but when you come here, you just, you know, have a bit of respect for the environment, you know, and being there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
no, 100%.
There's even one kid on our homeless World Cup team. There was one kid like that. The kid who I said a couple scouts have watched him, and a few people are interested in him. He's very much like the maverick of the team. So like when we were training and stuff, he never really trained that well, but like, you know, he is that guy, and when the tournament starts, he's gonna be that guy. So we kind of managed him slightly differently and kind of just let him be himself a little bit.
You get people who are just crap trainers. And then you got, like, even Hazard was like, it's just crap trainer. He was best players in the world. So you have to have a bit of allowance of that. You know, you probably can't be, you know, you've got to conform. You know, so I think, you know, when people, you know, when we're in academy football and clubs say, "Oh no, you can only wear black boots," I'm like, well, really? You want to try and develop individuality. You still got to work within the boundaries, but you want to have that bit of, you know, sparkle. There's a question about that, but I think you got to have the flexibility while still having the boundaries. It's a difficult,
it's a hard balance.
Yeah, it's a really difficult balance.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you not agree with the black boot stuff? Cause I think United still do it.
I think, listen, I know why they do it, but for me, it's like, you know, you want to create a bit of individuality. I want flamboyance. I want that. Do you know what I mean? You've got to still have, like I say, respect the boundaries, but why not? I ain't got a problem, you know. Just have, you know, wear pink boots, but you better bloody be able to produce on the weekend. You know what I mean? If you're wearing pink boots, you're not your dog, whatever, then, you know, put the black boots back on.
Because I remember we had a youth game at AFC Wimbledon, and Marcus Gale came down from like the reserves to watch to manage our game, and I think one of the guys that had like yellow or pink boots tried to do like a flamboyant touch, and it didn't work. And at half time he grilled it. He said, "I don't want to see no one here wearing any coloured boots except for one player that he thought was
that
flamboyant."
guy.
And
but that's the point, isn't it? I mean, if you can do it, if you can carry it off. There's a problem if you're not very good and you're then doing it, you don't want to, you know, you're looking, you know, then it's a bit silly, isn't it? So that's the thing, you know, you have to be able to bring it to the table. And I agree with that, you know, like, you know, don't give it if you can't, you know, produce it.
Yeah,
100%.
I'm definitely a black boot player, man.
Yeah, I'll keep it.
Me too,
But sometimes, like, I used to, like, you know, just to go with the kit. If I got blue kit, I might get the blue Adipures or the blue Predators.
Well, I had, remember 2004, I had the then there were Nike Mikuras for, and they had like blue studs. I loved the blue blades. I remember Richard Adam once at a tour battered me. I was a coach and he was telling the kids, do not buy boots that are, have black. I'm talking about me and my big, papers, but because I was a skills coach, I thought I'd get away with it.
But was there any coaches on your come up that actually inspired you, mentored you? Because as an inspiring coach myself, I think it's very important to have a mentor.
Yes, I talk about my mentors a lot. So like when I first started, obviously Tim Bradbury in America has taught, there's a blank slate, taught me about sales coaching. Keith Bowanas, who was my FA mentor, FA coach, educator, and also still mentor to me. Those guys were really pivotal. Like in the FA course were different in times. The FA course were technical based. It was all 1v1, 2v2, 3v3s, and Tim Bradbury in America was doing stuff about 1v1, 2v2, 3. So it was like, again, a perfect storm. So my session design still is really, what Keith and Tim taught me. Do you know what I mean? I just added to that. So really important them. And then I talk about my time at Tottenham when, working under Chris Ramsey and Danny Buck, I talk about a lot, as an unbelievable coach, technical coach. And Ricardo Moniz was there, who was the time best skills coach in the world, massive influence on me in terms of those, like in terms of my methodology and my delivery and, the intensity and the technical quality, and teach me how to work with academy players. I say that all the time, it's one thing being a grassroots coach. When you go to academy football, it's different. They teach you about working elite players day to day and seeing the journey. And then I've seen at Chelsea as well, you're just surrounded by, I'm going to talk about Paul Waldron a lot because he was just so organised and such an amazing like a line manager. He was my foundation phase lead, but you'd say to him, right, try this, but he'd go, yeah, we'll try it. Never pie you off. And he's just so organised. His interpersonal skills were unbelievable. He talked to parents who were fuming and talked to coaches, taught me that about managing, different people, personalities. And I talk about at Chelsea was loads of people like Adi Vivesh, who's now Barrow's fit Coventry coach, these so many coaches there who are just top. Joe Edwards and Michael Beale, who gave me the job there. He's amazing, still a massive influence on my career. So he gave me a job at Chelsea. He's probably again one of the best coaches in the country, top. So yeah, loads of those people.
Yeah, I think you said you still have mentors now, right?
Yeah.
So I just want people to know how, even though Saul's reached the top level, coached the best of players, he still has people he works with mentorship, etc. So I just want inspiring coaches and young players to know that is important no matter what.
Yeah, I think it's massively. I've got football mentor. I've got someone who helps my business as well, like a business mentor. Yeah. Just giving out. So it's really, and I probably don't even utilise those guys enough, but they're massively important. Do you know what I mean? Just go and talk to people about some really top people. Yeah,
because myself, in terms of, I use my playing experience to help my coaching, and I feel like because I've played a decent level, I feel like I know a lot about coaching. But it's when I meet people like you and other coaches that you learn quite a lot.
Oh, massively! You remember, I've been doing it 22 years. Yeah. I'm still learning now. I'm still, learning every day. And like I say, that's what I say to any young coach: surround yourself if possible. That's what's great about working in academy, because you're surrounded by top coaches. When I was started at Tottenham, Danny Buck, Alex Inglethorpe was there, John McDermott, who's now head of England, Chris Ramsey, unbelievable. Just walk around a building, go and watch sessions, and then at Chelsea, same, there's so many. So try and see as many experienced coaches as you can, talk to coaches. And the good thing is now, because of social media and YouTube and stuff, the internet, you can see, top coaches working all the time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's true.
Do you ever see yourself going into management?
Not management, but I'd like to. I'd like to work as head of individual development at a club, going all the way through from academy to first team, working with individuals. That'd be something. Or work at first team level. I'd like to work at international level.
Yeah.
But as an individual specialist, a coach, first team coach, or on the coach staff as an individual specialist. So because that's my niche. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So you never see yourself doing the team stuff?
Not really, because I'm not one of the best in the world at that.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I found a thing. I'm a world leader in this, so then I would have dropped down and do that one. I'm just going to be like everybody else.
Yeah.
This is my niche. And I've been offered jobs in the past, and I said respectfully, that's great, but I've spent 22 years now, 23 years, whatever it is, carving out the specialism. And this is my, and that's what's, like I say, I'm one of the leaders in the field doing, and that's always going to be my focus. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to go to, I'm going to say going Villa next week. They're not going to invite me in to talk about, managing their 18s or anything like that. They come talk me about individual development, skill-based training,
Yeah.
Decent.
Good for you, man.
I had a question, I just lost it. You got a question? Go ahead. Make sure
the
mic can
audience,
hear you.
I'm going to shout. It won't pick me up, but it might pick me up. Okay, it will. Cool. Did you watch Liverpool Arsenal?
I did.
Okay. So, from your experience, 22, 23 years,
Yeah.
when you look at somebody like Dominic Soboslai, who's a midfielder,
Yeah.
playing at right back,
Yeah.
doing such an incredible job. Is that something that was coached into him, or would you say that is pure talent?
I think, just if you look at his qualities, he's got the qualities of a right back, isn't he? And really, we talk about, in player development, all your players should have qualities of a midfielder in terms of being able to get on the ball, receive the ball, play the ball. And he's just so robust. He's quite direct. He's good on the ball. So he's if you look at the profile of a right back, then he has that. It's not massively not a massive tactical leap going from like midfield to right back. Do you know what I mean? Tactical leap going from right back to midfield. That's why Trent's always struggled with that. Going from that, playing the outside of the pitch is a lot easier than doing the reverse. And he's just so dynamic. He's explosive. Ball striking, so it's not a surprise that he's been successful there. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, I don't think that's a difficult that's not as a difficult transition to make as trying to go the other way. I don't think.
Yeah, good question, man. You got one?
I wanted to ask about sort of like the modern game, the modern sort of dynamic of the Premier League and stuff. Because I feel like we've spoken mostly about like coaching, but obviously in terms of like football, the state of the Premier League, the state of sort of the teams and sort of the teams at the top end, do you feel like the way football is now, there'll be like a monopoly from like the Liverpools, Man Cities, etc., or like with the way like coaching and academies and stuff are progressing, do you feel like smaller teams are going to be able to like sort of bridge the gap over the next 10 to 15 years?
If you'd asked me this question 12 months ago, you'd say no, like Man City are just dominating their dynasty. They're going to win everything for the next 10 years. And then suddenly they have a drop. Palace win the FA Cup. Newcastle win the League Cup, and then Tottenham win the Europa League, which all my Tottenham friends keep reminding me about every day. By the way. But what I'm saying is that if football works in cycles, and it's always changing, so it's difficult to say because everything. Remember, back in the old days, it was United and Arsenal, then Chelsea stuff. So nothing's set in stone. In answer to your question, anything can happen, and it's great to see a bit more diversity and who's winning trophies because that makes things more exciting. And obviously Liverpool come back up. Arsenal now back to a point where look about 5-6 years ago, Arsenal were nowhere near. So it's all ever evolving. Do you know what I mean? But a lot of that is the art and skill of building teams, good managers, that sort of thing. But what's good to see though is that those young players coming through. Arsenal got Miles and Ethan I've coached as well. Those two guys, Max Dowman and Liverpool. Obviously Rio's gone there, so these young guys are getting a chance. It's important.
Because obviously when you spoke about like your consulting and stuff, a lot of the teams you were mentioning were not necessarily the top teams. You mentioned like Wolves, Brighton, etc.
You did mention Chelsea, Arsenal.
Arsenal. I worked at Chelsea, but I don't know Arsenal. I call Arsenal a top team, but it's all right.
No, of course they're a top team. But I feel like there was quite a few.
Well, no, we know what happened. It was funny because Man United approached me 2 years ago to use my app and do stuff with them. But they couldn't get through the club because of the bureaucracy and the licensing and stuff like that, because of my brand.
Sounds like
and
United.
Then Arsenal saying something happened at Arsenal no, we want to do that with Adidas now, so they stopped using my app and I stopped doing consults with them. So it's difficult. Bigger clubs are more difficult because of the layers of there's so many layers they have.
Hoops you have to
like the licensing. Oh no, who's this? Because Arsenal, like Man United said, we want to use Saul's app. They said no, you can't because it doesn't fit in our licensing brand. And so it's amazing, frustrating, but that's part of the game, unfortunately. So what you notice, when but now it's still all clubs have that now because the media and they're all like huge multi-million-pound entities. There's a lot of eyes on everything. You know what I mean? Where in the old days, it'd be a lot easier. You can go in and
and that was my point. I feel like in the old days, it would be the biggest clubs, like you said yourself. You're like a world leader in your field, and in the old days, it would only be the biggest clubs who were like commissioning the best in the business to do work for them. But nowadays, I feel like the market is kind of shifting a little bit, and like you said, the Wolveses and the Brightons, etc. Like, to try and bridge the gap are sort of like doing the things that the big clubs were doing like 15-20 years ago.
Yeah, I think more resources to do that, and they come like, let's look at Brighton's a great example, right? A top academy, Cat 1 academy, amazing, but obviously Brighton's challenges they've got the sea behind them, so they don't have the catchment area. As think about Chelsea and Arsenal, they just they've got so much talent anyway.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's just they could do whatever they like really, but they've obviously got good programs. But I'm saying there's just London's one of the best talent development centres in the whole world.
100%.
So you do that. So maybe clubs like Brighton have to think a bit more outside the box, and do that because they don't have that plethora of raw talent just to be able to bring in.
But their scouting system is incredible.
Yeah, exactly.
The best in the league.
Yeah.
Cool. We're approaching the end. So just before we finish, I just want to do some quick fire questions with Saul, and then we'll end it there. So firstly, best player you've ever coached.
I don't think I'll choose the best player because I think it's too much. Because obviously, like Noni and Semenyo this summer, Flo Balogun, there's so many guys, and they're top in different ways in different positions. So there's nobody good. But I talk about those young academy players I've coached, like Rio. There's a boy at Chelsea called Heze. He's top. Like,
is that the 14-year-old?
Yeah, he's amazing. So there's players like young players coaching academy. There's so many of those guys coming through. Talk about the good talents coming through.
I've seen Heze before. I think his family on
top.
TikTok.
Yeah.
He looks good. He played for the under-18s the other day as well.
Yeah, he's top.
Hardest worker you've seen in training?
Hardest worker I've seen in training. I'm trying to think. I'm not sure really. I don't know. Levi was always good. Colwill, always good mentality. Always put a shift in that group full of superstars. Yeah. Good. Always head down, working really hard. I'm not sure really.
All right. But this one's for you. First player you've ever looked up to?
My favourite player. When I was young, Peter Beardsley. That's a really old one for people. Yeah. And then I used to love Dennis Bergkamp when he came to Arsenal. Because I used to go when I was young, I was from Camden, Kentish Town. Half my friends were Tottenham, half were Arsenal. I would go to Tottenham and Arsenal games with my friends. And, I loved watching Gaza and stuff like that and everything. But when I was watching go to Arsenal a lot, and it was so boring under George Graham because they were quite direct long ball. Paul Merson, who was amazing. But then Bergkamp came and was like, this is my player. And actually, I was even before he came, I had a bit of a session with Ajax. I loved Ajax. Because then Cliver and Seedorf, all those guys. So he came and he was so much better than anything else in the Premier League I'd ever seen. So technical, it was just unbelievable, so skillful. And that was me. I was that sort of player, couldn't run, was just unbelievable. Just aspired to be someone like that.
Yeah, it's funny. Obviously you idolized a technical player, and you've gone into.
I think what, it's weird. I mean, that's how I saw the game. I can still think back to games, watching players and how they move and how they beat players. That's what I was interested in. I was a playground player myself, watching players, and that's interesting. He's done that and try and replicate it, and then. I have more memories about doing those things than other things in the game. So that was always my obsession from an early age. I saw a bit like Keith Gillespie. He had a very unique way of doing things. I still coach that way, very easy way to beat players and stuff. So, that was always the way I looked at it, and that's when I started coaching. I said, my coaching suits one-on-one coaching because I just coach individual skills, skill development, individual tactics.
Yeah. Toughest country you've coached in, worked in?
Toughest. Thailand was quite tough because the heat as well, so hot and humid, draining. Lovely people though, they're my nicest people in the world. So I loved. It's my favourite, still my favourite country. I'd love to live there. Yeah. But quite challenging working there because the environment. I'm trying to think of a place. I'm not sure really. I mean,
when you say it's the heat, is it?
It's oppressively hot, humidity.
So if you've been other countries that are quite hot, does this exceed that level?
Well, it's hot. I mean that's why I work there consistently, so quite a lot. I mean, it's very, it's humid and because you're used to coaching and playing in England, you want everyone to play at a tempo, and they say, come on, coach, give me a chance. I mean, it's really hot. So you have to be adaptable.
But do you think that helps those players when they come back to England? Working in those sort of environment and climate.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's just different. You got to adapt to. It's a completely different game there. Yeah, because you can't, you can't run all day like you do here. So you got to tempo what you do. Okay.
Favorite stadium you've been to?
Bernabeu, just because it's Bernabeu. Yeah. I went to Munich Stadium, wasn't that impressed with that. Yeah. Going abroad's nice. Going abroad, Ajax Stadium, stuff like that. I like going foreign stadiums doing that. But going to Bernabeu was nice. It was electric.
Yeah, you keep mentioning Ajax. My family that live in Holland, they sport their big season tickets for Feyenoord. So I'm a Feyenoord fan. I go to Feyenoord games sometimes, so we don't like Ajax. But what I'll say is don't really want to call it drill anymore, but one practice you believe that every player should do daily.
Yeah, easy. It's my skill combination. One of skill combinations. So a skill combination, you see it on my page a lot. Maybe it's 6, 7, 8 skills together. And I got one. It's like I took it off Ricardo Muniz, who's one of the best skill coaches in the world. So I started with him, and I've adapted a little bit from my little variation. But that's one thing I said to every player: do that 4 times a day on your strong foot, 4 times a day on your weak foot. You'll notice your game go like that. And it's just about being explosive. So it's basically like 8 moves, all the like a global workout as all the 1v1s. You got lateral sideways movements, you got openers for your hips, you got forward driving movements. You do that 4 times a day in both feet, the Ricardo 6 or one variation of it. Within 2-3 weeks, you'll notice your game be more explosive. You know what I mean? 'Cause it's such a simple thing to do, and it's just be more dynamic, better sharp with the ball.
If you weren't coaching, what do you think you'd be doing?
Not sure really. Like maybe like through media, probably.
Yeah.
I also did at university, did communication studies at university, and that helped me in obviously what I do now. So I probably wouldn't have gone into media. I remember actually after university I had like an interview like media sales, which I was going into, and she was like, she said to me, the only thing you like is football, innit? Why don't you do something in football? And I was like, well, it's easy for you to say, innit? And then I actually going to America and do that. So that was always my obsession. But I like doing film, I did media, that sort of stuff, maybe sort of stuff in media,
Yeah. Messi or Ronaldo?
Oh, Messi probably, if I had to pick, just because he had it down earlier. Do you know what I mean? But I still talk about Zidane. I was growing up.
Zidane's my guy.
Do you know what I mean? Like Zidane, Riquelme. I love Riquelme as well because his attitude. Like Zidane was just top. My generation as well. Maradona, I'd take Maradona over both of them because that's just. Of course,
There's one guy that comes on our podcast who doesn't really rate Zidane. Do you have any words for him?
He's mad. He's sneezing his head.
Okay, yeah.
But Zidane, you don't understand how good Zidane was. And also you got to remember, we'd had this conversation the other day. Remember, like Zidane dominated. Remember the England team. England had Lampard, Gerrard, Scholes, Owen, Rooney.
Yeah.
Rooney for me was like unbelievable. What talent he Rooney, I probably take like so good.
Yeah,
I understand. Like, and when he first broke through, just a complete player, even dominated Zidane. Yeah. He was amazing, and probably the victim of like played different position, but he was so good. Like Zidane, Rooney, and those days, like you've got Manuel Petit, you got Perez, like you've got a whole team full of superstars. Do you know what I mean? And it was harder to be dominated than them days. Yeah. Players were better them days, just generally, I think. Like, there was more volume of top players. And these players are just doing that at then, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Speaking about the Owen situation, just want to ask you, obviously, for me, they're uncomparable, but obviously there's this video going around that people forgot that Owen was a two-time thing. But obviously, if you know football, you know that Owen was a player and he won the Ballon d'Or.
Amazing.
But now there's this comparison between him and Rooney, and it's like, 17. Is Rooney really better than Owen?
I think, probably Owen's right because he had that, he had the injury, and he fell off. People forget how good he was with 17. I remember because when I was young, England were crap. We get battered in every tournament. He came through, this kid at 17. He's like, who's this new kid? Yeah, we've got some finally. He dominated through. Like, no one's going to be top scorer in the Prem, 17, 18. He was so amazing. Like, he was just unbelievable, so electric. So, difficult, Rooney had probably more longevity, but still maybe, Rooney should have been the best in the world. Should have followed Ronaldo's, thing, but for whatever reason didn't. But difficult, Owen was sensational, just didn't have longevity because of the injury.
But do you feel like 17, 18-year-old Owen was ahead of 17,
well, maybe because, he like dominated, maybe, but it's difficult because when it's difference got to make is that Owen came where he scored the goal against Argentina and that was game over. Rooney dominated the whole tournament.
He did.
He was the best player in the tournament, for every game, and then he got injured and we went out. Yeah. That's what the difference. He single-handedly put a team and a team full of superstars, by the way, who were and Owen's team wasn't as high that quality. Yeah, it's difficult.
But for me, it's like as an all-round footballer, there's no debate. As in,
Rooney's more complete. Yeah, as a goal scorer, Rooney's sensational. And he said no one gets near him apart from R9, which is true. R9, by the way, that's the best. Another unbelievable footballer, my favourite. No, again, it's not got struggled with injuries, but
one player you'd love to coach in the future.
I thought about this the other day. I don't really have players that are like that. I like every time a player comes, I get start work with Antonio Semenyo in the summer. Yeah. It's a blessing. It's great. I love it.
Great player. He's a baller.
There's no one else. There's no one. Go to think I really like to work with him. There's players I see and I think I could improve them easily. Do you know what I mean? But no one I think, I'm wishing I'll get this client and stuff like that. So anyone comes in is, it's good.
My last question is best advice you've ever received, been given as a coach.
Best advice, I'm not sure about best advice, but the advice I'd give probably just it's like I say, you've got to work hard. And the same as a player. you know, you got to work harder than everybody else. Do you know what I mean? You know, and when I was younger, I was obsessed with being the best. I wanted to be the best in the world at the younger age to begin with, and then the best one to do. So like, I always had this, you know, thing, and it's taken a lot of energy and a lot of determination, a lot of focus, and that's what it's got to be. Same as you know, want to be a top player, you want to be a top coach, you want to be top of your game. It takes a lot of sacrifice and to do that. So you know, you got to be willing to do it, and you know, and do that. You know, put it in. So put the hours in, become a student of the game, work really hard, learn. Always be open minded. That's a big thing, and you know, just keep, you know, slogging on.
Yeah, sweet. Any last questions?
Nah, man.
Yeah.
A very insightful conversation, man.
Yeah, this was a very good episode. Appreciate you coming down.
Appreciate having me. It's been amazing.
I'm going to put your information in, obviously, the description. Make sure you comment, like, and subscribe. Make sure you follow and subscribe to Saul as well.
And if you're one-to-one coach, remember new course, we'll put the link in the thing.
Yeah,
this exclusive discount code as well.
I might sign up to it myself. So
Let's do it,
but yeah, thanks for coming down. Thank you guys.
Lads.
Yeah, cheers.